Before this video starts, I just want to admit one quick thing, and that is I forgot about DeMarcus Cousins. If DeMarcus Cousins never got hurt, we probably wouldn't even be having a video like this because he is the perfect definition of a modern day big. I think his brief run in New Orleans along with his play style justifies that, but let me not spoil the whole video, but long story short, yeah, I forgot about DeMarcus Cousins and he definitely would be the perfect modern day big for today. Last but not least, subscribe for more content, and alright, let's get right to the video. What's good YouTube, it's your boy TSO Sage and I'm back with another video. Today I'm here to discuss a more controversial subject, that is the center position really dead in today's NBA? Because I think it's fairly obvious to admit that this is a guard-centric league. The two most prominent things in the game right now probably are playmaking and three-point shooting. Every GM basically wants to play sharp, and if you're taller, you're better. Unfortunately though, when you get too tall, you actually decline drastically in speed. Or at least that's the norm. Guys like Giannis and KD are superstars for a reason. However, due to the greater height meaning a slower and probably less talented playmaker, a lot of people would then consider that the center position is pretty much obsolete. Hell, the Houston Rockets don't even have one outside of Tyson Chandler, and he almost never plays. So before I dive into the video, I just want to remind you guys to subscribe, as we're only 8 subs away from 100 as of this recording. And honestly, I don't even know what the fuck I want to do when I hit 100, so you guys comment that below. But alright, let's get right into this video. Historically speaking, the center position is still the best position of all time in terms of dominance. And that's borderline common knowledge at this point. Bill Russell started it off with 11 rings, his only rival being Wilt Chamberlain, another center. Then literally as they were walking out the door, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar shows up, and look what the fuck he did. He's arguably the greatest player of all time. Then after Kareem it was Hakeem, then after Hakeem it was Shaq. And the fall off of this great tradition of dominant bigs starts with Dwight motherfucking Howard. Now admittingly, the center's dominance actually did start to decline with Hakeem Olajuwon. And that's not even Hakeem's fault. Hakeem might be the most skilled big man of all time, but unfortunately for him, he ran into Michael Jeffrey Jordan, so that's tough. But the dominance did pick up with arguably the most dominant center of all time in Shaquille O'Neal, who did complete a three-peat. However, the problem with Shaquille O'Neal was the fact that it did start the trend of centers losing skill. Now, one of the most underrated things about Shaq is his skill, ironically. He had one of the best post hooks, nothing short of a beautiful post spin, and of course, he had a dominant back down game. But despite the fact I think his skill is underrated, it is still the worst part of his game. To be honest, it's actually the reason why Shaq didn't have a more dominant run outside of that three-peat. Once the insane size and speed advantage, aka his natural born genetics, once all the DNA that Shaq had ran off and he had to actually play basketball, he couldn't do it because he never developed that skill. So for sure, he was definitely the most dominant player we've ever seen in his prime, but his prime was short-lived. And let's just be honest here, he was a teammate of Kobe Bryant, so that is a luxury that nobody has. But regardless, Shaq definitely ended up being an underachieving superstar. Now, a lot of people bring up Michael Jordan, Steph Curry, and LeBron James for people who's changed the dynamic of the NBA. It's gonna sound quite insane, but hear me out. Shaq should definitely be in that conversation as well. Granted, it's for a negative reason. Because like how Steph Curry has improved the value of three-point shooting, and now every kid, no matter what size and weight, wants to shoot 40-footers, Shaq glorified being really tall, really strong, and really fast can get you a championship. After all, the narrative behind the Lakers three-peat is that Kobe was robbing. Even though I emphatically disagree with that, it was the narrative in the media nevertheless, and that led to centers such as Dwight Howard being made. Dwight right now may be one of my favorite players in the league, but back then he was much more talented. However, and to put it bluntly, if you missed a prime Dwight Howard, all you have to do is watch tonight's game and literally imagine a guy that jumps higher, runs faster, and plays a little bit better defense. That's it. Now, I'm not here to slander Dwight's career. In fact, I think Dwight's career is the most underrated career I've seen in a long time. That can definitely be a separate video. I'm not going to dive too deep into it, but long story short, the same way Hakeem ran into Jordan, Dwight ran into Kobe and LeBron in their prime. Dwight was a phenomenal player, no questions asked. But if Shaq ain't set the trend, Dwight definitely confirmed that motherfucker, because I don't even have to get too deep into it. Hasheem Thabeet went number 2 in the draft. You see, although Dwight doesn't have a championship, Dwight's dominance was so impactful, he had a team of just shooters and he made the finals. Hell, he beat LeBron on the way there. But this ended up over glorifying the position of a center who isn't skilled. That if you're tall, can block a shot, and have really good switch defense, you can be a superstar in the league. The career of Dwight Howard essentially set in stone the murder of the postgame. Now, of course, the entire element of the postgame isn't gone. There are centers in the league today who are working on their postgame. But put it this way, who was the last dominant player in the post you've seen? Your mind may go to guys like Anthony Davis, Tim Duncan, or Dirk Nowitzki. If you haven't noticed, they all have one thing in common, and that is their position. They are all power forwards. And that's not by convenience either. Post the prime of Dwight Howard and Shaquille O'Neal, the center position became more of a physically demanding job. Since all you had to do was be tall, strong, and fast, a lot of the young players stopped practicing the post game if they were 7 feet and just worked on getting in the weight room. By result, you have guys like Anthony Davis who are perceived soft and now have to play with a more physical center to fulfill that role. So at this point, basically what I'm saying is all your post post game went to the power forward spot rather than the center spot. Hell, with guys like Kobe Bryant and Carmelo Anthony, you could argue it went more to the wings. The center position was literally for dunks, blocks, and rebounds. The center position was never and still never as down bad as it was between 2010 and 2015. However, in 2015, the center position actually received a little bit of a resurrection, and this was actually indirectly received by a 6'3" light-skinned in Under Armour's named Steph Curry. Now, when Steph revolutionized the game, of course he made it a more guard-centric league, that's not even a question. But Steph Curry didn't just highlight the value of three-point shooting. Steph Curry had a huge impact on the impact of jump shooting as a whole. Now, we don't have new faces at the center position due to the sheer fact that it's only 5 years since that MVP season, or better yet, since Steph Curry became a mainstream superstar. But look how the young centers who were already drafted, and hell, even the old centers, are playing now. A lot of people may take Eric Bledsoe, but I think Brook Lopez is the third best player on the Bucks. And to simplify his game, because it is more than that, but right now all he's doing is being a really good rim protector and hitting that motherfucking three ball. But it's gone even further than just centers that can shoot threes now. And if that wasn't the case, guys like Nikola Jokic would just be a corner sitter. The Nuggets get great value from the fact that Jokic can post up on the low block, shoot the fadeaway, as well as pass out of it. Sixers fans will fucking murder Joel Embiid for the fact that he likes to shoot step back threes over getting his big ass on the block. And to go back to the 3-point shooting, Karl Anthony Towns is going to be the greatest shooting big we've ever seen. And if you really just jumped in your head thinking of Dirk Nowitzki, go look at the stats and watch the dude play. It's not even a debate. He shoots the three better than Dirk. But despite all of this, a lot of people ask, is the center position dead? And let me just get the answer right out to you. It is still a guards league. The value of 3-point shooting and playmaking ability is just too high for the center position to be prominent right now. And no center I've named can do all of those things while also protecting the rim at a really high level. And despite it not being as physical as back in the day, it is still a sport. It is still the NBA. It's not just a pussy league. As of right now, there is no center that can do all the things I've just mentioned earlier, let alone a center who could keep up that productivity on a night-to-night basis, without risking injury or of course just simply playing worse. But I don't think the center position is dead for two reasons. One, as I mentioned earlier, is guys are adapting to play the modern center. Guys are trying to see if they can be that stretch big or that rim protector or that post playmaker. But the perfect combination for the modern day center just simply hasn't been made yet. Because ironically, there is one player in the league who does fit all of those descriptions I've mentioned earlier to make the perfect modern day center. Anthony Davis would be the perfect modern day center. He's not a 40% shooter from three, but he can definitely hit the three ball, has a deadly mid-range, phenomenal post game, and do I really need to talk about how this dude guards the pick and the roll? I personally believe he's the best big in the league on the offensive and defensive end. But no, Anthony Davis would be the perfect modern day center. The issue is he just isn't that physical. And when I say physical, I mean in terms of mentality. Anthony Davis doesn't look to make contact every single play. Not only does he know his injury history, but simply put, that's just not his style of game. But Anthony Davis is the perfect blueprint for the modern day center, and that leads me to my second point. You know how much better Anthony Davis is than any other big in the league right now? Again, there's an argument to be had that he's the best defensive big and best offensive big in the league. Like, it's not even close. But outside of Anthony Davis, who's the best big man in the league? Jokic, Embiid, Porzingis, Towns, whoever the fuck you wanted to be, right? None of those players are bad, but none of those players are great. My second biggest reason is because the talent gap. We just simply haven't had a great center in a long time. For example, if we could just drop prime Dwight Howard in the league right now, he'd be the best center in the league. The only big man better than him would still be Anthony Davis. And as much as I talked about and like Dwight Howard, he's not fucking with Patrick Ewing or David Robinson. Dwight isn't this essential cream of the crop of the center position. Like, no, we really haven't seen a really good center in a long time. And in conclusion, yeah, you could argue that we haven't seen a really good center in a long time because people aren't training for that. That there are guys simply training to be a good rim protector and a good 3-point shooter rather than a post player. But put it this way, it's hard for me to imagine that there isn't one person in this entire world who wants to model their game after Anthony Davis with a good size advantage. That of all of our young prospects, one of them isn't going to consider having good footwork or post game to go along with their rim protection and 3-point shooting. And from time to time, be able to make a really good pass to an open shooter. I know it sounds like I'm in some 2K my player builder shit and asking for a phenomenal player, but that's my point. We haven't had a great center in a long time, and I think we're due for one in the upcoming future. And if it does ever happen, the center position could definitely make a resurgence to the point we never ask, is it dead ever again? But that's gonna be it for today's video. It's me, your boy TSO Sage. I know I've been talking playoffs consistently, but this was something that's in the back of my head for a long time, and I didn't want to lose the idea. If you enjoyed the video, definitely let me know by leaving a like. When you guys like a video, I know what kind of content to create. In addition to that, if you guys enjoy my content or typically find yourselves watching me all the time, or even just want to help the boy hit 100 subs real quick, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It only takes 5 seconds. And last but not least, if you think the center position is dead, if you think it's on the come up, or if you just want to talk about some random ass shit, definitely comment below. But alright y'all, it's me, your boy TSO Sage. Again, subscribe and hit the bell for more content, and I'll talk to y'all later.